What's up, everyone? Back for another quick video. Out for a nice drive today. Some of the weather is cleared up and we've been able to come out and get out of the house from quarantine. So a lot of the questions I was getting about the car want a full breakdown of everything done to the car, and in all honesty it's just going to take too long and I don't want these videos to be long. So what I want to cover today is the cams in the car. So a lot of people ask me the most questions about cams. What does it cost? What kind of gains did I get? What brands did I go with? All of those associated things. So the cams in this car are Tomei 272s with 10.5 millimeters of lift. I had this work done by Z1. Those guys are the pros. I didn't want to mess with trying to do all that work myself and make sure I did it right, and way too easy for me to screw something up. So yeah, that's the brand. Parts wise, cost wise, depending on what you go with, anywhere from $700 to $1,000 depending on the brand for the cams themselves. And then I also run Tomei springs, which is another $300 or so. So you're looking at about $1,000 in parts minimum just for cams and springs. My recommendation is that you go with at least an oil pump aftermarket. Some people run a rev up pump. I think that's probably not quite enough. If you do a rev up housing with billet gears, it's probably gonna be the minimum I would do. I went with a Nismo pump in the car. And then I also went with a lot of associated supporting mods and maintenance while they had the car apart. So I did a knock sensor sub harness, of course, the oil pump. I also did fuel injectors, OEM GTR injectors, a fuel pump, oil gallery gaskets, timing chains, tensioners, valve covers, pretty much anything and everything that I thought needed some maintenance I went ahead and did. So results wise, the car picked up about 30 horsepower at the wheels and about 20-ish some odd torque at the wheels. I've had this car dyno tuned a lot of different times with a lot of different parts, and each time it floated anywhere from about 264 to about 275 wheel regularly, and that's about average for a bolt-on DE with pretty good parts and a good tune. So this car picked up, I jumped over 300 wheels, so it put the car up about 304 wheel horsepower and about 290 torque, which is really healthy. For the car, it's about bolt-on HR tune numbers, which I really love driving the car now. It completely shifts the power band and how it drives. The car doesn't really fall on its face anymore at about $6,000 like the standard DE does with the OEM plenum, and we can talk about plenum and intake mods in another video. But the car just pulls all the way to $8,000, doesn't fall on its face, makes power all the way to the top, which is really great. The last biggest thing is usually cost, what people want to know. So we covered the parts bare minimum. For labor, you're probably going to look at, depending on the shop, anywhere from honestly maybe $1,500 to $2,500 depending on what all you're doing. So my bill is not going to be the same as others, and a lot of people get discouraged because of, well, with that amount of money you could have just boosted the car, you could have done whatever. Well, that's true, but it just depends on what your long-term goals are and how you want the car to feel, how you want it to sound, how you want it to act. And really, it does get a lot of attention. Of course, you guys have seen the recent exhaust videos that really wake it up, and it just sounds crazy. It drives great. The guys at Z1 did fantastic work, turned it around in about a week for me, got it tuned, and I did that tuning back in 2017, so about 3 years now. Haven't had an issue at all. All I do is regular oil changes. So yeah, so parts about $1,000, labor maybe up to $2,500, and then any associated supporting mods, tuning, and all of those types of things. And you'll probably look anywhere, and with a 272 cam and full bolt-ons, I would say you're probably safe bets 25 to 30 horsepower at the wheels and about 20 foot-pounds of torque, depending on what you got going on. So my recommendation is to at least go with the 272. A lot of people do 256s and 264s, depending on what your mods are. If you're going to boost it or you want it to just act a certain way, it's all about personal preference. So next video, we'll cover something else, maybe suspension, exterior parts, intake parts. I've done, of course, a 06 light conversion on the outside. Taillights, of course, bolt in, but headlights are a little bit different. It just depends on what specific things you're trying to do. So we'll cover that stuff in another video.